What's up, guys? So a few months ago, I did a video that seems to have been pretty popular, uh, and basically I reviewed our advertising on Truth Social. So basically, say, hey, we spent 25 grand on Truth Social so far. Here's what my thoughts are, and I've got a lot of comments from people messaging me saying, hey, have you kept spending on it? And if so, what are the results been? Can you do a part two of that video? So that's what I'm doing. Part two of my review on Truth Social on the ad side of things, with the addition of also advertising on Rumble. So Rumble, Truth, they all run from the same platform. So Rumble's advertising center. So it's basically the same exact way you'd buy media. You just choose different placements. And so we spent a little bit on Rumble as well, not nearly as much as we spent on Truth. So to date, we spent, I'm going to show the numbers over here just so you guys can actually see them, real numbers. We spent over $140,000 on Truth Social. And we've also spent a decent amount on Rumble. So let me actually just do a quick screen share just to show that. So we're in here in our advertising center, and down here since we started really in September is when we first started. And so total spend $144,614.79. So that's our total spend on the platform. So in the grand scheme of things, based on how much money we spend in our agency, in our ecom portfolio, and different brands across all the different channels, Facebook, IG, YouTube, TikTok, newsletter rentals, email rentals, dedicated sends, affiliate marketing. It's a drop in the bucket. It's a small amount, but it's still a pretty sizable amount. It still puts us kind of probably at the higher end of their ad spend, just based on, because you can kind of see when you're in the campaign creation, when you're in there, when you're creating landers and things, it's given an ID, it's given a number, and so you can kind of see how many people have created new landers and new campaigns, and it's not a ton of people. So what I want to share, what's kind of been different from my first video, honestly, not too much in terms of a positive thing. So still really, there's no pixel, there's no tracking, which is, it's very frustrating. It's weird to me that all of these conservative, kind of leaning on the right tech platforms that are being built out aren't investing in these things. It's really frustrating because it's like, it's so easy. I mean, quote unquote easy. But when I'm saying easy, I don't mean necessarily like building the tech out because I'm not a developer, but I mean just in terms of like understanding what features advertisers want. So whether it's Parler, whether it's Truth, whether it's Rumble, we advertise on all of them. Even we've tested like Gab and other things, and they all basically have gone about as bare bones as they can go when it comes to advertising. And so there's no pixel, there's no attribution, there's no real reporting. They just no real targeting options. They've gone incredibly bare bones, and this is really strange and kind of frustrating because they're all struggling. It's like they're all struggling to make money. It's like, well, you have, and we'll talk about users in a second, but at least Rumble, like you have a decent user base and you have advertisers that want to spend money on your platform, that want to diversify. They want to get off of Facebook. They want to get off of TikTok. They want to get off of YouTube. Maybe not get off, that's the wrong word, but they want to diversify. So they're not 100% dependent. They want to try their channels, especially if you sell products in these verticals where your audience is basically the entire audience on these platforms, like for us. And so that continues to be one of my biggest gripes, specifically with, we'll talk Rumble because this is kind of the Rumble ad platform. So Rumble, Truth, they're kind of merged in the same thing. I'll put it this way. It is a lot of work, even though it's working for us. That's why we keep spending money on it. It's profitable, but it is a lot of work to run ads there compared to how much work it is to run ads on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, because we have to create all kinds of additional tracking layers. We have to use a lot more, manual reporting. And sure, there are, there's software and tools out there that probably could buy and invest in that could automate some of this, but it's, we're not doing it for like a small, relatively small test. So we're using Google Sheets, we're using UTM reporting to basically pull in, this ad group, this campaign, right? And so it's a lot of work to measure this. And now that wouldn't be a huge problem if it wasn't for kind of the second issue, which is scalability. And this is really the crux. This has been one of the biggest challenges. This is why TikTok has done so well, because TikTok was finally a platform that built pretty good ad tech initially. Now it's gotten a lot better, but it's still not the best, but they built a good ad platform. and they have massive amount of users. They have over 1 billion users. And that's been the biggest challenge that other platforms have had over the years to compete with Facebook and Google. Is even if you built a good platform or good ad tech or something, if you didn't have the users, it's really hard to get advertisers to come onto your platform. And so with Truth, for example, in Rumble, has a bigger audience, but Truth specifically, that slice of it, the audience just isn't growing. If anything, it's shrinking. I'm going to show you some numbers that show how it's shrinking. And so, what we found basically is there's kind of like I would say, $12,000 to $20,000 range, where basically we're finding like we can spend about 12 to 20 grand on a campaign, on a winning campaign that's really doing well, before it basically burns out, before we've essentially kind of saturated the entire platform multiple times. And again, for some people it might be okay. It's like, hey, I can spend 20 grand and make 40 grand, and like that's great for my business. But for us, for the amount of time you have to invest in all the setup and building out, adding landers, because basically you need to create a new lander inside the platform over here. So like, for example, I'll just share my screen. So you need to come over here to landers, and basically if you want to track individual ads and you want to track individual sources or, mobile, desktop, you essentially need to create landers for every single one of them. And it's a lot of work. And so if you're going to do that work, like that's fine if you can scale this to, $10,000, $20,000 a day and spend. But if you can basically only spend $10,000, $20,000 for an entire offer, essentially, before you've tapped the entire app, that's challenging. So that's another thing that we've noticed is like, when we initially started on the platform, the first month after 25 grand, I was a little more bullish, because it was like, hey, this is performing really well for us. And it was showing a trajectory going like this. The user growth was picking up. Really what we're seeing now is the user growth has at best stalled, but at worst it started to decrease, and they're not adding new features, new tech. They're not adding a pixel. They're not making the platform necessarily better. And there's not more users on it. If anything, what's actually happened, and this is interesting, this kind of goes to point 3, and I don't want to be all negative here. I'll talk some positive things in a few minutes, but want to open up with just some of our newer takeaways. What we've seen happen is about a month ago, they made a change where essentially if you are a political advertiser, which is like most people advertising the platform are selling, whether it's running for campaigns or just simply like you're selling like political themed things like t-shirts or hats, which is a lot of their advertisers, us included. You basically now can't just target the main app. You need to go into their kind of political advocacy. So let me show this real quick. So if you look over here now, when you go to placements inside of this ad platform, you don't really it's kind of, again, just not well built, not really well thought out from a user perspective. It's not like you can come in here and do like a Rumble placement or a Truth placement. You essentially pick the dimensions that fit that placement. It automatically selects it. So for example, 822 to 175, that's a Rumble dimension. So when you click that, now you get Rumble zones that you can pick to advertise on. So when I go to 8450, which is the mobile dimension of Truth, or 16900, which is desktop dimensions, this is what you see. So it used to be that when we first started advertising, this was the big zone. So this is the retail, which is like anybody can advertise to the entire app essentially. And then this was a smaller zone, was like political advocacy. They made a switch about a month ago where it put most of the advertisers now had to advertise in this political advocacy bucket, and it split this size up. And so now you've split up an already small app into what you can target. And then what you also see here is this is the mobile. So this is basically the mobile placement on Truth. Look at these numbers. This was over 1 million at some point, 1 million plus, which again, not massive, but for our, it was going the right direction. Now what you see is this is kind of, I think, daily estimated volume. That's what they kind of put here. You're at basically 299,000 for political advocacy mobile, 197,000. That's a really small audience. And then if you look at desktop, it's even smaller. So desktop, you're at 121 on the political advocacy and 86,000 for the retail desktop. So again, really small audiences, and this split they did Basically, they didn't kind of give some warning. Like they just paused all of our ads one day because they deemed them political. Which again, I like. This is my biggest thing with all these new tech companies being rolled out and spun off, and even what Elon's doing with Twitter, transparently. And I'm a big fan of Elon. I'm a big fan of Twitter. Is you're saying one thing until it's not convenient for you or you don't like it, and then you're just doing a different thing. And so Truth now is basically like they started rejecting some of our ads. They started removing some of our ads. Basically anything that was, had too much Trump in it or had his image in it and things, like because Trump owns it, they're like, you can't use that. And so it's like, really, guys, like it's hard to, if you're the only reason you exist and your main unique selling proposition, because it's not your tech, it's not your platform, it's not your users. If your main thing is like free speech, we don't delete things, we don't ban things, but then you ban users on the app who say critical things, or you reject ads that use the like, again, do whatever you want. Like private company again, like I'm used to it with Facebook for years. I'm used to it with all the platforms, but like it is a little ironic and somewhat, I feel bad because it's like, you're not going to grow. Like if that's your thing, if you were rolling out with like our things, we let you do whatever you want, but then you slowly start censoring, you slowly start rejecting, you're no different than the other guys. Like you're no different. And I'm seeing Truth doing that now. And it's again, like, well, what's special about you now? It's like your tech's not as good as any other platforms. You have basically no user growth. You have very little users. Your ad platform is as bare bones as it can get. You have no targeting. You have no pixel. You have no tracking. And then you make these political distinctions, and then you start rejecting ads, and then you start doing these things. And like, transparently, I'm not going to like be the person that, kind of beats my chest and like says, pay attention to us and treat us different. But like, I don't know anybody else that really spent almost $150,000 on ads on the platform, and like they could care less, right? We didn't get a warning. We didn't get reached out to. So it's, I have better relationships at TikTok, which is, they'll have 12 billion in ad spend this year. I had better relationships at Facebook. So it is a little frustrating, to get like such a, not a cultural there, but like initially day when we came onto the platform, they were really excited. They really wanted to get us involved and stuff. And like, it's been crickets since then. The platform's kind of, it hasn't got any better. I've shared a lot of ideas with them out of the gate. Like, hey, you guys should think about this. Like they could have picked my brain. They could have asked for advice, support. I would be happy to help them. Plus we spent over $100,000. That's just that's for the business, right? That they get. So anyway, I think Rumble's a different story. I'm talking specifically about Truth here. I personally, happy to, we're going to keep advertising on it because frankly, it still does work for our business. And I think if you're selling things, basically if your target demo is a, 45 and up conservative, if that's who you target on Facebook, that's who you target on Google, if you target these channels, Truth is a great channel to look at. That's it, right? You don't need to worry about targeting or anything like that. And so that's a strong channel for you. It'll still work for you. It's not very scalable. You're not going to make tons of money on it, but it's, it'll work. We've done well with like knife offers on it. We've done well with all of our political stuff, apparel on it. So if that's you, definitely give it a try. I think it could be a decent traffic source for you. It's going to be small. It's not going to make a ton of money, but it still could be a decent one for you. And maybe it grows. Rumble, different story. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But again, I think big picture Truth's business, transparently, like I don't see how they stay in business. I just don't. Right. Because like we have to get, if not their top advertiser, one of their top advertisers, you can see their numbers in here. Like I can come in again and look at, how many landing pages have been created. Like again, you come in here back to Landers, like there's not a lot. Like we're at 3,815. This is for months and months and months. And you have to assume that most advertisers are doing the exact same thing we're doing. So this is like, and we've created hundreds of these probably. So it's like, there's not a lot of campaigns being run or landing pages being created on here. So I think they're on a downward spiral. I think unless they make some big changes and big shifts, I don't see them being around for that much longer. Or maybe they continue to exist, but they just kind of like stay really, really niche and small forever. But again, as an advertiser, what's that worth to you? I don't know. So that's Truth. Now let's talk about Rumble. So I think Rumble's a little more interesting because it has a lot more users. They got a lot more placements. There's video, which is interesting. So I think there's a lot of interesting opportunities on Rumble as a platform. Again, the limitations are coming back in here. So if I came in here to run a Rumble ad and came into, I'm in the image ad, so I could do video as well, but just for the sake of this, again, still not massive. You're talking about, this is kind of desktop. This is a desktop banner. So Rumble, desktop under video, and then premium. Yeah, about 900,000, 850,000 people to 1 million people on a given day there. If I look at some other dimensions, that's True Social Native. I look at the kind of Rumble, some other ad units on here. So I have some mobile placements. This is mobile under video. I have, 1 million plus, mobile bottom of the page, 1 million plus, desktop sidebar, 777, mobile bottom of the page, 296, Android app newsfeed, 1 million plus, iOS app newsfeed, 623,000. So definitely more, way more daily volume on Rumble. And this is just for kind of image ads. If I go back to type and select video, that's obviously different. It opens up a lot more impressions as well because it's a YouTube competitor, it's not just a video platform. But again, the everything else is pretty bare bones. Really, nothing's been in the 3+ months we've been advertising on this platform. Nothing's been really added. No new features, no new tech, no new tracking, and that is a little disappointing. Again, like these, at the end of the day, you're running a business. At the end of the day, whether you're Rumble, whether you're Truth, whether you're Twitter, whatever it is, you need to make money, right? The consumer side of the business is great, like having the cool app and the bells and whistles and the tech and stuff like that's great in the front end. But like, if you don't have people like me and people like other agencies spending money running ads, or figure out what Elon's doing and have a subscription and figure out how to be advertiser independent, you're not going to be able to exist, right? You need to make money. And so it is surprising to see, going back to like the conservative example, to see Parler, Truth, Rumble, all these big platforms that are so promising, just not be able to build good business models, to not be able to build good revenue streams. And again, a lot of this, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like you can look what TikTok did early on, which was smart, is TikTok basically said, Facebook is the gold standard. We are going to create an identical ad platform to Facebook. We're going to hire people from Facebook. We're going to make the UI look just like Facebook. We're going to use the same naming conventions as Facebook. We're going to basically copy that playbook until we get to a good level where we have a really solid platform, and then we'll start doing our own things. And that's what they did, and it worked for them. So again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel here, but like even Twitter has a decent app. Even Twitter and even Quora, even LinkedIn, like they have pixels. They have basic stuff in there, some targeting. Like that's what I really want from these platforms. So again, if you're watching this and you work at, Truth, or you work at Rumble, like shoot me a message. I'm happy to hop on a call with you and give you some free advice. You can pay me to be a consultant later, but like happy to give you some free tips out of the gate, or even just watch this video. Like you need pixels. You need the ability to track. You need to be able to have some level of optimization, right? Something that's happening where it's able to basically say, here's who you've been targeting. Here's who's been buying your product. Here's the kind of the ideal customer base and all the data coming back in the ad account, and then learning and delivering my ad to people more like that. Like you need to build something at least a bare bones like that if you want to get serious advertisers spending money on your platform and not just testing and dropping off, which is what's happening in these platforms. Somebody throw a $5,000 test at it, $2,000 test at it, it bombs, doesn't work, or they don't know if it works, and they move on. If you want to get people spending $10K a day, $20K a day, $100K a day, if you want to have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 advertisers reliably spending money on your platform, you need to have these things. Otherwise, it's like, again, like we're doing stuff with Parler, mainly on the email side, but like what they've done, like the way to buy an ad on their platform now is crazy. You basically write one ad and then they send you an invoice and you pay for the one ad. Like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, I don't like, are these people have they not gone onto Facebook on the ads manager and seen how people buy media today? It's perplexing to me. It's like genuinely perplexing to me that these companies can't get talented individuals who have experience in the industry and know what to build and what advertisers need. It's really perplexing. It's very frustrating because there's like, I'm sitting here as like somebody that wants to spend money as platforms. Like there's so much money for the taking. You just need to do the bare minimum and you get the money. So back to Rumble. Again, like nothing has really been added or changed here. Very, very basic bidding. Typically we've seen with Rumble, like at least on the desktop image placements, which has been our best kind of our desktop under video has been our kind of best placement for a lot of the stuff. We haven't had much, we've tried some videos, some video ads, and like haven't seen really much success with it. We've been bidding, $3, $3.50 or so. And that's been getting most spend. So really much lower costs. Daily budget, spread the daily budget. We do that across the day. We throw a smart bid in there. So at least, again, how smart that is, debatable. Basically just means it's not going to spend just $3. It might go to 275, might go to 325, might go to 350, depending on whether there's volume there. And then frequency capping. The people that we work with at these companies, like keep telling us, hey, do unlimited or do 5 or 4. And we do 1. Cause again, like I don't want to, you have small apps. Of course you're going to want me to do that because you want me to spend more money, right? You want me to hit everyone in your app 5 times a day. Like I'm not going to do that though. So again, with how small these apps are, we don't need to do 3, 4. You're going to do that, pretty much in a week anyway, if you're spending decently. Then down here, again, nothing's been added or changed since the 3 months I did my first video on targeting. Very, very basic countries, regions, cities, carriers, languages, like none of this stuff matters. The only one is for Rumble. You can do some keywords. So you can but again, like there's no intelligent auto drop down or anything. You just kind of got to manually type in keywords and it's kind of glitchy and buggy where it like will stop letting you do spaces. So I just basically write a list in a notepad and then copy and paste it over for different ad groups, for sections, like certain like keyword groups that I want to test. That's about as good as it gets is some keyword targeting there. Scheduling, then you're going into, let me just do this real quick just to give you guys an example of what the next page looks like. Let's go over here to 8450. Test, hell of a name there. Then you're adding your creative. So you're selecting whatever creative you want to add there. So you select an image, you import that. And then you have to basically manually assign a lander to every single piece of ad creative. And so this is how we're tracking individual creative is we have a unique link with unique UTMs per creative that we then track on the back end. So we have to go in and search and find that. Again, like really not very efficient. And then we're creating and submitting it. So, and then when you come back to your kind of dashboard, you come back to campaigns. We have a lot of stuff paused right now. Actually, we're firing some new stuff up, but this is basically your dashboard view. So you really don't have a lot of data, right? You're getting impressions, clicks, click-through rate, how much has been spent. You got to pre-fund, so you can't just throw a credit card and auto spends. You got to basically continue to top off your ad account, which isn't that inconvenient, but like if you're spending a lot and you take a weekend off and you forget, it'll pause all your ads, which is a little annoying. But yeah, so there's no, you're not getting any data back in here about like conversion rates or CPAs or anything you really want to have that's going to be meaningful for you. So there you have it. That's my my part 2 on Truth Rumble, or kind of my reaction to spending. First video was after 25 grand. This video is after, we'll call it 150 grand. By the time this video probably gets uploaded, that will be over. So 150 grand spent on the platform over a 3-month period. So again, not chump change, not a little bit, so those are my thoughts. I'm curious if you're watching this, if you've also tested these platforms, if you have different reactions, if you have different thoughts to me, if you work at Truth, if you work at Rumble. I apologize if I said anything that, maybe offended you or upset you, but the reality is like, I'm only saying it out of a place kind of love. Like I want there to be more options. I want there to be more competition. I want other companies to succeed and thrive. And so everything I'm saying here is from a point of like, do this and be more successful. Like it's not rocket science here. If you want to compete with the big boys, you need to have revenue. And the easiest way to have revenue is to build a decent ad platform. And to build a decent ad platform, at a minimum, you need good tracking, good reporting. You need to have some base level pixel, you need to have some base level targeting, right? Just base level stuff. Like, give me some interest targeting, give me some basic behavioral targeting, give me a conversion optimization. Just like give me some basic stuff. Even the final thing I'll say here on Truth, the other thing is like, you don't have ad copy, right? So you're really all you have, and I forgot to mention this, they haven't improved this either. You have an image. And so you have to put all your text on the image essentially. And so you don't have headline, you don't have body copy, you don't have a newsfeed description, you don't have any other opportunities to kind of market your product or to give more information about your product. So you're really limited to a single image to do all the marketing and selling for you, which is also very challenging. So, again, give us that. Give us a little bit of text above the image. Give us a headline. Like, again, not asking for a lot here, but you do these little things, it makes your platform way, way better. It helps advertisers get better results, which means you spend more money, which means you can invest that money to grow your company and do more things and get more users and get more advertisers. So not reinventing the wheel here. Hopefully somebody works for one of these companies, maybe watches this video and starts improving it. Because again, I would love to spend more money there. I would love to spend more money on Rumble. I'd love to spend more money on Truth. I'd love to spend more money on Parler, on these platforms. But at the end of the day, if it becomes too much work, too much hassle, and there's no growth there, we go look at other places. So let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment below. And as always, hit that little subscribe button, hit the little bell so you get all my videos, and I'll see you on the next one.